Hello, bookish friends in the internet. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Drew, and this is Drew's Ambitious Reading. And for today's video, it's going to be one video that I don't think I ever done before on my channel. I know I done a top 10 books I'm excited for the year. But this year I wanted to do, I actually saw this video inspired by Sam over at Thoughts on Tomes. So I'll leave her channel down below. She did a video of, I don't know if she did a top 10 or if she just did however many she thought of books she thought were underrated or underhyped books for the year. So that's what I wanted to do as well. So this video was inspired by Sam over at Thoughts on Tomes. So thank you so much, Sam, for the inspiration. So I have 10 books here that I am excited to show for you guys today. These are 10 books that I either gave 5 stars to that I think are really good and really popular, or these are just books that I wanted to talk to you guys today about because I either don't have anyone to talk to about in real life or none of my friends have read these books. So these are all a very wide range of genres. I have some YA thrillers, I have some YA fantasy, I have some adult fantasy, and yeah, I have 10 books here that I'm going to talk about today. So let's just jump into it without further ado. Here is coming in at the number 10 spot, and these are in no particular order, like from favorite to least favorite or least favorite to favorite. I just wanted to talk about these 10 underrated books that I have. So coming in at the number 10 spot was The Honeys by Ryan Lassalle. Now, when I was making this list, I thought about this book instantly. The reason why I thought about this book instantly was because this was a book I read for my book tour. A lot of these I read for book tours, and I really enjoyed them. So thank you, Jamie from Rockstar Book Tours, for sending them my way. I read this one when I was in a reading slump, and I don't know if it was a good book to read during a reading slump, because even though it was a fast-paced contemporary with a mix of mystery thriller into it, set at a summer camp, it was definitely a creepy read for sure. I felt like I read it at the perfect month because August is like end of summer, beginning of fall, you know. So I felt like I read this in the perfect month. I really did enjoy this. And I had never read anything by Ryan Lassalle. I have Reverie by him that I own from Book of the Month for quite a while now, and I just never got around to reading it. So this was my first book by Ryan Lassalle, and I really enjoyed it. His writing was so easy to follow along. I would say if you want a good creepy read for next year, definitely check this out, especially the narrator. The narrator added, well, I don't know if he did it himself, but they added sound effects into it. Like you can literally hear the bees whenever there was bees around in the scene. That made it creepy because I really hate bees myself. But this was just a fun, wild ride. I actually didn't really know too much about it. I just knew it was from an author that I was familiar with, even though I haven't read any of their books. But I was really shocked by how much I loved this. I think I gave this like 4 stars, maybe even 5 stars when I read it. So I'm very happy to say I really enjoyed this, and this is the first book I think that was very underrated this year. And also, before we get further into this list, I don't think there's like 2, I think, that are from the HarperCollins company. So sorry about that. I do support the union, like, strike and whatnot, but I also want to talk about these books, but also know we're not supposed to. So yeah, sorry for any of the HarperCollins books, but I just know they're just some of my favorites. So anyways, on to the number 9 book on my list that I think is underrated is The Merciless Ones by Naomi Forna, or I should just say the Gilded Ones trilogy so far, because I absolutely loved this trilogy so far. Especially book 2. Book 2 picked up the pace. Book 2 was so much action packed in here. I was shocked by how they kept killing off so many characters in here, and I was like, we're only in book 2, Naomi, so why are you killing all these characters off? When they killed a certain character, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to spoil you of what happened, but when they killed a certain character off in here, I almost cried during that death scene. And I usually don't cry a lot in my books, so if you can make me cry or almost make me cry, I think that's a good sign. I really would like to say thank you to Owlcrate though, because if it wasn't for Owlcrate putting the first book of this series in their boxes, I don't think I would have picked this series up myself. I mean, maybe I would, because this is similar to Children in Blood and Bones and what's the other popular, An Ember in the Ashes. I feel like you would love. If you love those two series, I feel like you would love this series as well. This is hard to explain what this series is about, but this follows a main character who, there's this like tournament of like, if you have blood turns gold or something like that, you are like one of the gilded ones, which are like the bad guys, I think, even though they are like the good guys halfway through. Anyways, this book really did shock me with how it ended, and the cliffhanger in here, oh my god, I need book 3 like the day I finished book 2. I was really shocked by how this ended, and again, this is like an underrated book, which is why it's in this video, and I just feel like nobody in my life or nobody in my book community world has read this series. So if you have not read this series and you want a diverse read for 2023, definitely pick up The Gilded Ones by Naomi Forna, which that's the title of the first book, and then obviously the sequel, which is in my hands right now, The Merciless Ones, and I believe there's a third one coming. If not, I'm gonna be so mad. But according to Goodreads, this is supposed to be a trilogy, but I don't know when book 3 comes out. I hope it comes out next year, because that would be so fun. But if it does come out next year, then I will have another series wrapped up for 2023. But yeah, very happy I read this one this year, and I need more people to read this, especially if you love the Children in Blood and Bones series. Coming in at number 8 on my list, this was another book I read for tours, and that was Castle in Their Bones by Laura Sebastian. This one I was super excited to find out that Jamie from Rockstar Book Tour was doing. They messaged me personally and asked if I wanted to be on this tour, because they said, I said that I haven't finished her other series, but when I read Ash Princess by this author, I really enjoyed it. So I was excited to see it. I still need to go back and finish that trilogy because I've only read book 1, which is so bad of me of starting another series. But I will say, I am happy to say I do have the arc, or the e-arc of book 2. I think Jamie's going to be doing a tour for book 2 in February, but I could be wrong. I'll have to double check with her to make sure that's right. And if she does, that's going to be amazing, even though I would say the one thing that makes me mad right now about this series is how they did a cover change right in the middle of the trilogy. Like, look at this cover. Like, I really don't like people on the cover, so I'm actually happy they did the cover change, but I was kind of curious to see what they would do for book 2's cover, and they changed it, so kind of mad about that. So my covers won't really match at all, but I got this copy sent to me from Penguin Random House, so thank you so much. But yeah, I'm very happy that I got around to this. This was a very underrated book that I think that came out this year. I don't think anybody has talked about this author in general or this book. I feel like if you love a good love triangle with morally gray characters and a chosen one crest, I really think you will love this series. Like I said, book 2 comes out in February, so you have plenty of time to read book 1 and then wait a little bit for book 2. It says Empress Maru had plans for her daughter since the day they were born. Princess Sophia, Daphne, and Beatrice will be queens. And now, age 16, they each must learn their homeland and marry their princes. So I feel like it sounds very similar to Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. So if you love that series, definitely check out this one. And it's just very similar to Three Dark Crowns, but also very different at the same time. And also the cliffhanger in this book. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe I haven't e-arc a book 2, so I'm excited to start that. I think I'm going to read it in January. That way I can get ahead of the arc and then send my review for book 2. So thank you so much, Penguin Random House, for sending me an e-arc of book 2 and for sending me a finished copy of Castle in the Bones. I cannot wait to read the sequel. Now the next book is my only YA, well, not my only, but a YA thriller standalone novel, and that is The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. Another book that I really enjoyed. I give this one 5 stars. This is actually an arc. I got a physical arc of The Counselors by Jessica Goodman from Penguin Teen. So thank you so much, Penguin Teen, for sending me a physical copy. I really did enjoy it. I actually read this at in my backyard by the pool, and it was just a fun experience, even though nobody was around me. But if you know the setting of this is also another book set at his summer camp, and another YA thriller. This one doesn't really have a lot of LGBT characters in here like I thought there would be. But this is my, again, first book by Jessica Goodman, so I was really a little bit disappointed, but also I was happy that I read it. Even though this was a 5-star read for me, it didn't make my favorite list. I don't know why it didn't, but I did overall really enjoyed it. It was a fun, fast read. It only took me a week because I was physically reading it, so I would love to see how the audiobook sounds, if the audiobook is creepy at all, if they have good atmospheric vibe, I guess. The writing in here was really, really good, though. It was easy to read for me, even though it did take me a week to read it. But I still overall enjoyed the writing. It was fast-paced. If you love a good whodunit type of thriller, I think this is a good book for you. And also, this is another perfect book to read during the fall season. So if you want a good, creepy summer camp vibe, come check out The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. What was that? Number 7? 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, number 6 on my list is For the Wolf by Hannah Whitton. Now, as I was making my list, I was trying not to do a lot of popular releases. I believe this is getting popular now on Book Talk, which I'm really happy that it is. I know Riley from Riley Marie here on BookTube, she either has read this or she hasn't read it. And I know my friend Em from the Glittering Bookworm on Instagram, she read the first book and she absolutely loved it, gave it 5 stars. And then she recommended this to me, so I bought it from Amazon, and I cannot believe it took me so long to read this. If you saw my June reading wrap-up, I want to say, I read this back in June, and I absolutely loved it. I can see why I can see why Em said she really loved this book. And it was just a fun, different type of read for me. This is a dark, emphasis on dark, Little Red Riding Hood retelling. The tagline on here says, "The first daughter is for the throne, the second daughter is for the wolf." I did completed the series this year, so it was a fun series to binge read. I did have to wait a little bit for the sequel, because I think the sequel came out in October, I think, or later in the year. I can't remember exactly when the sequel came out. I know I read it and loved it as well. So I really enjoyed this. This is definitely a series that is for a certain type of person, I feel like. I feel like if I wasn't into adult fantasy like I am right now, I would not have picked the series up myself. But without my friend Em pushing me, I probably would have picked this up, if that makes sense. So I'm excited. I do have an e-arc of Hannah Whitton's other book. I think it's the Foxhill King Glove. I think something like that. I don't know. I'll leave the correct title of it down below. But I cannot wait to read it. That one comes out in March, and that's a whole different series and different world. So I'm excited to see what she has in store for us. But this one is really enjoyable as well. There is a little bit of a romance in here, which I wish there wasn't, because if there wasn't romance, I definitely would not have picked this up, I would say. But the fantasy aspect of it, the world building was amazing, and I just love how it's just a one and done book, and I don't have to wait for another sequel or another third book or whatever the case may be. So I'm really happy I read it this year, and I cannot wait to see what other people will think about this one. The next book I also read this year, I actually binge read this series because book 2 was coming out in June, and it didn't come out till like end of June, and I think I read this like end of May, beginning of June, in preparation for Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I absolutely loved this one. I was really shocked that I loved this because I have a love-hate relationship with this author. I hate to say that on camera, but I really do. I read the Red Queen, or I tried to read the Red Queen series. I read the first one, which is Red Queen, obviously. Really liked it. Tried to read the sequel. I liked it a little more, but I felt like the writing was kind of the same, and it didn't like grow on me. And then I read the novellas and really enjoyed those, but I never read the third or the fourth book of the series. So I might go back and reread them and see if I would still like them to this day. Because when I picked up Realmbreaker, I actually picked it up on a whim. I was like, ooh, let me look at my y'all list and see which authors are gonna be there. And I saw that Victoria Aveyard was one of the authors, and I was like, oh, maybe I can meet her. And I sadly couldn't because I was in this line of Victoria Schwab, I think, and her and Victoria Aveyard was at the same time, so it was hard to get both of them. Funny how I was in the line for both Victoria Aveyard and Victoria Schwab. That is just funny to me. I really picked this up on a whim. I knew this is, I don't know if it's still popular as of today, but I know book 2 just came out, so it probably is still popular here on the book community. But I really enjoyed this. This was a fun, interesting read. I feel like if you love the Lord of the Rings series, which is a huge compliment to get compared to, if you love the Lord of the Rings series but you want more like female badassness in your books, I definitely think Realmbreaker is a go-to book. Even though it is a hefty 500 something pages, it just sounds amazing. It was amazing. The back here says, a squire, the survivor of a failed quest, an immortal, timeless, and unfathomable, an assassin, skilled and heartless, an old sorcerer holding secrets behind her teeth, and a pirate's daughter, the world's last hope. The heroes are gone, but the fight to save the world has only just begun. So yeah, I'm very excited and happy to say I binge read book 1 and 2 over the summer, and they were just great, fun fantasy read to do that. And I am now doing the waiting game for book 3. I know Victoria is currently writing it. Last I heard her talk about it on her TikTok account, she said she was in the middle of writing book 3. So I don't know if we're gonna get it next year, but if we don't, I'm gonna be sad. If we do, I'm gonna be happy. So I really think this is kind of an underrated read, and I feel like more people need to talk about it. And I am happy that I read both book 1 and book 2. Another series I'm happy that I completed this year, because this was only a duology, and that is This Poison Heart by Kalynn Bayron. I cannot shut up about this book series. This was such a fun series to binge read. This was same instant with Realmbreaker. The sequel, I think both of these sequels actually came out on the same day, so that's pretty funny to me at least. But I had this on my shelf ever since it came out. I think this came out 2021, so it came out last year. For some reason I thought it came out in 2020. If you don't know what This Poison Heart is about, This Poison Heart follows our main character. Oh, I forgot your name, but you were so funny. Brienne. How can I forget that? She is this part of this fantasy world where she is like has the powers to like not get poisoned by plants and whatnot. And there's also a bit of Greek mythology aspect in it. And if you are a big plant lover person, I really think you will love this. It is a diverse read. There are 2 moms in here, which we loved seeing that, and its own voices too for the LGBT community. And again, if it wasn't for Owl Crate, I don't think I would have picked this up on my own. But right now, Kailyn Barron is definitely a new favorite author of mine. And I cannot wait to see what she has in store. I know she has a middle grade out, which I still need to read. And I know she's going to have a YA thriller coming next year. So that would be interesting to go from YA fantasy to a YA thriller. But yeah, if you love a good Greek mythology story, definitely check out this one. I feel like you dive more deeper into the Greek mythology aspect of the series more in book 2 though. But definitely check this one out. This is a fun, quick, easy read is what I was trying to say. And I really binge read this duology in the fall, and it was a perfect book to read during the fall. So I'm really happy I got to this, and I think you guys should pick this up if you haven't yet. The next 2 books before I get to my final book are both by the same author. So I really just want to shout out this author in particular because it was hard to choose which one I wanted to read. Her books are just so diverse, and she does so many different genres now, which I'm excited to see what she does later on. But that is Miss Jennifer Dugan. I instantly called her an auto-buy-author when I read Hot Dog Girl, which I know is a weird title, but I absolutely loved her. I read Hot Dog Girl on a whim, and then I picked up the rest of her works. Some Girls Do is a female-female relationship. I think all her books are kind of female-female centered story. So Melt With You by Jennifer Dugan was her YA contemporary release that is about 2 female friends who go on a road trip together, and they have a checklist of things they want to visit / things they need to do before they go back to school or something like that. And one of them goes off to college. It was a fun, feel good road trip book, and I don't really talk about contemporary books a lot on my channel, just because I haven't read a whole lot of them. But when I do, I feel like Jennifer Dugan is my go-to author for that. On the other end of the spectrum, she released the graphic novel of Coven by Jennifer Dugan, obviously. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel to this. I think there might be. I could be wrong though, but this came out from Penguin Teen this year, so thank you so much, Penguin, for sending me a finished copy. I really enjoyed this book. It was a fun, fast-paced read. It wasn't quite a 5-star read for me because I did have issues with the main character a little bit. She's kind of an annoying butthead a little bit. But I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this and the setting. And again, it did have a female-female relationship in here. And I really enjoyed how it was set at not a boarding school, but it was still set at a school setting. And yeah, it also, if you're an ice cream lover, I think you will love Melt With You, obviously, because it's on a road trip about meeting people and stuff. So yeah, Jennifer Dugan is definitely a new, auto-buy author for me, so I'm excited to see what she's going to do with her. She has a YA thriller coming out in August. She also has a adult romance coming out, which will be interesting to see. And I know I think she has a YA contemporary coming out next year, but I could be wrong. I'll leave the correct info down below. But yeah, I really just love Jennifer Dugan's writing, and so happy we picked her up for our book club. And we were able to get an author interview with her, so that was really, really fun. And I just can't wait to see what Jennifer Dugan has in store for not only me, but the rest of us readers, and hoping I will love each and every one of them. The final book on my top 10 list is Ballad and Dagger by Daniel Jose Older. This is a first book. I don't know if it's a duology or a trilogy, but it's the first book in a brand new series from the Rick Riordan Presents imprint. And this is, fun fact, their first YA book. So that was really fun to read about. This is a hero's journey type of quest novel. Found family is in here, and 2 badass main characters, so that was really fun to read. Mateo, who is our main character, was also super funny, especially in some of the serious stuff. The ending kind of made me sad a little bit, because if you read this book, I think you will know what happened. I am dying for book 2 though, because it did end on a little cliffhanger, and I just want to know what it's going to be about. I know it's available for NetGalley right now, but I probably will get declined for it, sadly. But I really enjoy this Mexican-inspired folklore series that we have going on so far. And it was just a fun fantasy with a mix of mystery. And like I said, there's morally great characters. There's a found family and a hero's journey quest. And I cannot wait to see what they do with book 2. So there you have it. Those are all... Ooh. Those are all the 10 books I feel like are super underrated for the year. If you read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them down below. I would really love to see what you guys thought of them. If you haven't read any of these, I definitely recommend them. Obviously, that's why they're in this video. And I hope you all just have a great rest of the week. It is almost Christmas here in the States for those who celebrate Christmas. So Merry Christmas for all those who celebrate. And I hope you have a great day or night, and I'll chat with you guys down in the comments below. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, turn your notification on so you don't miss any new videos coming from me soon. And I'll talk to you guys down in the comments. Bye.